Hello people of YouTube, I'm the Nerd Logan and welcome back to another deck profile. Sorry I've been away for basically a year. The reason I've been gone is because I'm just lazy and I never really built another deck. Plus, school's been acting up. But recently, because of the new Legendary Duelist set, I was able to update my Blackwings with the new cards that came out. So I thought I'd remake another deck profile and try starting this channel back up again. So other than that, let's get into the new Blackwings. So starting off my new variant of the deck, I run 3 of Blackwing Samum, the Poisoned Wind. Samum's one of the newest cards and I love him. His effect is whenever I control no monsters, I can banish another Blackwing from my hand and then afterwards activate Black Whirlwind straight from my deck. Following this effect, I can either send Samum to the graveyard or normal summon him without tributing. This effect actually works in a way similar to the True Draco and Senju cards, not taking out my normal summon for the turn. So, at max, I've been able to get 3 searches off of one single Whirlwind in one turn, and if you open it with 2 Whirlwinds, it's even better. Now the downside to his effect is, at the end phase, the Whirlwind that was activated by this effect is destroyed and you take 1000 points of damage. There is a way around this if you can somehow return the Whirlwind back to your hand, but if you can't, well, it's 1000 points of damage at the end phase. Next, I use still 3 Chris the Crack of Dawn. Because of Chris, he's a 1900 beat stick that is protected by spell and trap of destruction once per turn, and you can special summon him if you have a Blackwing a different name. He's also a good target if you can at least open with a Whirlwind and if you don't open with Samum. Because basically, when you normal summon him, he can search out almost any Blackwing with less attack than him. Following that, 3 Bora the Spear. Bora is one of the classic Blackwings that can special summon as long as you control a Blackwing of different name, and this is not a once per turn restriction. As well, if he attacks a defense position monster with a defense lower than him, you can deal piercing damage to your opponent. Following that is 3 Gale the Whirlwind. With Gale, you can, like Bora, you can special summon her as many times as you want as long as you control a Blackwing of different name. Gale is also one of the best level 3 tuners in the deck. Plus, with Gale's effect, you can target one monster your opponent controls and cut its attack and defense in half permanently. I love Gale. And finally, with my 3 ofs, I run 3 Collude the Moonshadow. Being honest, with most of the builds I'm seeing nowadays, I might even cut him to lower amounts, or even just cut him entirely. Leave some comments in the area below if you think there's something I can replace him with later in the profile. But Collude's the classic beat stick. Basically, whenever you have him in your hand, during damage calculation, if a Blackwing is battling, it doesn't matter if you're attacking or it's being attacked, you can discard this card from your hand and increase the attack of the Blackwing that's being attacked or attacking by 1400. And this isn't a once per turn restriction. So if you have more than 1 Collude, you can actually do this 3 times at max. Alright, now for the 2 ofs, I run 2 Harmattan the Dust. Because of his recent usage and popularity, Harmattan's really good now. Basically, his effect is, once per turn, I can special summon from my hand as long as I control a Blackwing of different name, and if this card is normal or special summoned, I can target another Blackwing I control, and Harmattan will gain level equal to the Blackwing I targeted. So like if I was to target Collude, his level increased by 3, taking him to level 5, or any other Blackwing that I choose. Along with the new Blackwings, I also use 2 Uster the Southwind. Now Uster is probably one of the more better ones, and she works similar to the next monster on this list. With her, she cannot be special summoned, but whenever she's normal summoned, she can target one level 4 or lower Blackwing monster that is banished and special summon it back in defense mode. This really combos off of Samum well and as well off of early allures, because whenever you summon her and attack, normal summon her, you get to summon it back. As well, she has 2 extra effects that can go off in the graveyard. You can banish her to do one of 2 effects. Place 1 wedge counter on 1 monster your opponent controls, or place 1 black feather counter on Blackwing Dragon. I would use this for the wedge counters, but still, both of these effects are actually really good. And basically the earlier version of Uster, I run 2 Blizzard the Far North. Like Uster, Blizzard cannot be special summoned, and whenever he's normal summoned, he special summons 1 level 4 lower Blackwing from your graveyard in defense mode. So, yeah, he's basically the classic, but Uster's just him, amped. Now for my 1-ofs, I use 1 Zephyros the Elite. Zephyros is a 1600 beat stick that once per duel, if he's in your graveyard, you can return 1 face-up card on your side of the field to your hand and special summon Zephyros back from the graveyard. As well with this, you also do take 400 points of damage, but it's enough to not worry about it. 1 Steam the Cloak. Now I've seen people running Steam at 2. The question is, I honestly don't know why. With Steam, every time he leaves the field, no matter what area he goes, whether back to deck or to the graveyard or banished, he will special summon 1 Steam token that is a Aqua Wind type with 100 attack and defense. Now, once per duel, like Zephyros, he can tribute a face-up card my opponent controls and special summon him back to my side of the field. So, yeah. If anyone can explain to me why people are running 2, I'd actually love to hear that. So, if anyone can, please tell me. 1 Gladius the Midnight Sun. If I can't open with something like Samum, I always want to at least find a way to get No-Thung out easily, so Gladius is always there as an extra backup. I can special summon him as long as I control 1 Blackwing and only 1 Blackwing of different name once per turn. And as well, he can't be destroyed by battle once per turn. So he's just a small little wall that sometimes is useful. Next, I use 1 Pinocchi the Waxing Moon. I used to run him at 2, but because of this new format, I actually use Pinocchi less and less. But Pinocchi's effect is basically he can't be used for the Synchro Summon except for the Synchro Summon of Blackwing monsters. And as well, once per turn during the end phase, if he was sent to the graveyard from the field, I can search out 1 other Blackwing monster from my deck except Pinocchi. So he's a moderate searcher, but yeah, he's not as good as he used to be. Sorry, Pinocchi. And finally for monsters, I use 1 Orochi the Squall. Oroshi's a good level 1 tuner that you can use with either Samum or another Blackwing to help easily level up some synchros. With Orochi, you can special summon him as long as you control a Blackwing, a different name, but that's only a once per turn special summon. And as well, if he's used as synchro material, you can target 1 monster on the field and change its battle position. This is good for those opponents that stall by just having a brick hand and setting 1 monster face down defense mode. You use him, you get to see what that is, and if it has low attack, even better. Alright, next off are my spells. First off is Black Whirlwind. Because of Samum, this card is now easily more accessible because prior to this, there was no way to search out Whirlwind. So, whenever you have Black Whirlwind on the field, whenever you perform a normal summon, you can search out 1 Blackwing with less attack than that of the 1 normal summoned. And this is not a once per turn restriction, so if you have 3 Whirlwinds on the field, you can get 3 searches. And because of Samum, this could be done, if you somehow have all 3 Whirlwinds on the field, that is 9 searches, possibly, at max. If you guys have had more than 9, I'd love to hear how you did it. And next is 3 Allure of Darkness. Allure of Darkness basically allows you to draw 2 cards and then banish a dark monster. but if you can't, you have to send your whole hand to the graveyard. And this card used to be somewhat of a restriction towards me, but because of Uster, I now can make use of this even more because she will now just summon back anything I banish because all Blackwings are dark attribute, which really comes in handy. With that being the end of spells, let's get into traps. Like usual, I actually still run 3 Icarus attack. With this card, you can tribute 1 winged beast and then target 2 cards on the field. And afterwards, destroy them. But you have to destroy 2. You can't just target 1 card and then destroy it. You have to target 2. So if your opponent only has 1 card, you're gonna have to probably target something you control. It's good times whenever I have Chris on the field, because if my opponent only has 1 monster and I need to destroy it, I can tribute a monster, target Chris, and then my opponent's monster, and at least Chris will survive. Next in traps, I use 2 Black Sonic. This is still a classic staple for me because it gets over so many cards that can't be easily affected. Like some monsters can't be destroyed by battle, and some monsters can't be targeted. This card basically, with this card, whenever your opponent declares an attack on a Blackwing monster, you banish all attack positions your opponent controls. And if you control 3 Blackwings exactly and nothing else, you can activate this card from hand. This card has always been a good game stopper for me because some of my opponents just look at me and be like, dang it. So yeah, but it's too bricky if it's at 3, so I just keep it at 2. Next, I use 2 of the new trap Blackbird Close. With this trap card, if an opponent's monster activates its effect, you contribute 1 Blackwing monster you control and negate the activation and destroy that monster. Now, if you also control a synchro, I believe it is a Blackwing synchro or just a synchro monster. If you control a Blackwing synchro monster or Blackwing dragon, you can activate this card from hand. Now, the other part of this effect is, after you activate it, you can also special summon Blackwinged Dragon from your extra deck, which is the reason now I actually use him in the extra deck, as you'll see. And finally, for my main deck, I use 1 Solemn Warning, the classic staple that whenever you can pay 2,000 life points, negate a summon, or a spell or trap that would summon a monster. And yeah. Now that's all for my main deck, so let's get into the extra deck. So for my extra deck, I use 2 of the new Synchro Blackwing Full Armor Master. The first thing about this guy is that he's unaffected by everything except battle. Now the sad thing about this effect is I can't use my Kalutes on him since he's unaffected by even my card effects. Now of course he still can't be kaiju'd, but he's still an awesome beat stick. Now, every time your opponent's monsters activates one of its effects, he can place a wedge counter on them. What you can do with them is either one of 2 things. Once per turn, you can either take control of a monster your opponent controls that has a wedge counter, or during your end phase, you can destroy all face-up monsters your opponent controls with wedge counters. And because of Uster, this can also make this more manipulative and easy to do. And of course, he is a great 3x3 beat stick. So, in this format, sometimes summoning a monster with 3,000 attack is kind of hard, especially in link-based decks. Following that, I use 2 Blackwing Tamer Obsidian Hawk Joe. Joe is a good level 7 that can be easily brought out, and once per turn, you can target a level 5 or higher winged beast in your graveyard and special summon it back. As well, once per turn, if he is the only Blackwing targeted by battle or card effect, I can target 1 other Blackwing that would be appropriate for that effect. He's always been a good staple, and I still love him at 2, because if 1 dies, I'll always be able to make another one quite easily. Following that, 2 Nothlang the Starlight. Nothing is by far my favorite Blackwing synchro because of his effects. Whenever he is special summoned, and not just synchro summoned, you can target one actually, first you inflict 800 damage to your opponent, then a monster your opponent controls loses 800 attack and defense. I almost said target there, but that effect actually doesn't target any monster. It actually just loses 800 attack and defense. So it's great around monsters that say cannot be targeted, because he just doesn't target. And as well, his secondary effect is once per turn, you gain the additional normal summon of a Blackwing monster. So with Samum, he's the reason you can get extra searches off of Whirlwind. Hell, this is why I love him, because back during Pendulum format, he was the reason I could get extra searches just to begin with. Next, I use one Assault Blackwing, Raikiri the Rain Shower. Whenever Raikiri is synchro summoned using a Blackwing as material, he is treated as a tuner, and as well, once per turn, he can target cards up to the number of other Blackwings you control and destroy them. And with this format, that can be at max 5 cards. But sometimes just even 2 or 3 cards can change the state of the game for me, and he's been useful in that sense all the time. Next, one Chidori the Rain Sprinkling. Just like Raikiri, he's also treated as a tuner if you use a Blackwing as synchro material. As well, while he's face up on the field, he gains 300 attack for every Blackwing in your graveyard, and it's just any Blackwing. It could be main deck, extra deck, or even 2 with the same name. As long as it has the word Blackwing in its name, he gains 300 attack. I mostly just use him as an ultimate beats deck because he's just so powerful. And if he's destroyed, I can target one winged beast synchro in my graveyard and special summon it back. This is a great way to bring out Nothung if he's destroyed, and then instantly deal an extra 800 and decrease a monster. Next, I use one Blackwinged Dragon. Because of Blackbird close, I really need to find a way to work with him. And every time I would take effect damage, doesn't matter if it's mine or my opponent's, I can place one black feather counter on Blackwing Dragon. He will lose 700 attack in the process, but after that, I can remove all of his black feather counters and then decrease a monster my opponent controls by 700 per black feather counter. As well, my opponent will take damage equal to the attack lost by that monster. So this can be a good way to also use because of Zephyros and Samum, because if I take effect damage from their effects, I can just place black feather counters on Dragon. Or I can also use Uster's effect to place a counter on him just by her effect. As well, this is also a great counter to Trickstar. So, I think you all know why. Next, one Blackwing Armor Master. Armor Master is, of course, the classic Blackwing synchro. He can't be destroyed by battle, and I take no battle damage with battles he's in. And of course, if he battles a monster and it survives, I can place a wedge counter on it. And once per turn, I can remove all wedge counters on the field, and monsters who had wedge counters are reduced to 0. But because of full Armor Master and Uster, this effect is actually more usable. And if my opponent's board, all monsters have black wedge counters, this could be borderline OTK material. So I always use Armor Master in case of this scenario. And of course, since he's level 7, he's super easy to bring out. Next is Trishula, Dragon of the Ice Barrier. I still run him at 1 because I can find many scenarios where I actually can summon him. Basically though, whenever he's summoned, I banish 1 card from my opponent's hand at random, 1 card on the field, and 1 card from my opponent's graveyard. It's not drop dead amazing, but it is a nice synchro that I can bring out every once in a while. I might cut him, but I don't know yet. Next, I still use one Raid Raptor Force Strix. It's a generic rank 4 that I can easily summon with most of the monsters in my deck. And of course, he also gains 500 attack and defense for all winged beasts I control, which are basically the entirety of my deck. And once per turn, I can detach an Xyz material from him to search out one level 4 Dark Winged Beast. So I can search out mostly Zephyros, Bora, or Chris. Mostly the good level 4s. Next, I also use one number 41 Baguska, the terribly tired tapir. Translating that 5 times fast. With Baguska, he can't be targeted by card effects whenever he's in attack mode, and of course, but most people just use him for this effect. While he's in defense mode, all effect monsters my opponent would summon would be instantly set to defense mode, and their effects are negated for the turn. And also, this is kind of one of the cards I hate that we censored because instead of all the pillows he has, it's replaced with beer cans. I hate TCG sometimes. And finally, for my Link monsters, I just use 2 Wee Witch's Apprentice. With her, all dark monsters on the field gain 500 attack and defense, and all light monsters lose 400 attack and defense. And if she's destroyed, I can target one dark monster in my graveyard and return to my hand. I don't really know any other Link monsters to add to my deck, and because I'm literally broke, I don't really have time getting bigger and better Link monsters. But if you guys got any recommendations, I'll try my best to get any of them. But other than that, that's my entire deck profile. In the future, I am also going to be working on a for hire deck, and so my friends will hook me up with salamangreats, so I'll try doing those. And in the future, I might try some gaming content, so if you guys know any good basic recording software, I'll try that. Other than that, that's all I have for my Blackwing deck profile. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Other than that, later.